obviously, that is the reason we are here to talk about profile building, what exactly it is and what exactly it is not. So you quickly see here the framework that we have designed for you. We are going to divide and talk about profile building under these six big heads: the mindset, academics, your spike, your story, recommendations, and fit. Now, before I move ahead, I just want to make it very clear to you. I hear a lot of students coming back to me and then saying that, this is my dream university. So, one thing is very clear, there's nothing like dream. It's always the fit that we talk about, right? So, we can go to the second slide, Stuti. Yeah, yes. Yes, the next slide. Yes. So what we are going to cover in next 40 minutes, we are going to talk about the mindset, the foundation, how can you find your spike, how can you tell your story, and how to assemble the deck, and what should be the next plan for you. Now, I say it a deck because as it is, you are pitching yourself to the admission officer, right? And you are the founder of that pitch. So I always say when you prepare your profile, you are doing nothing else, but you are building slides, you're preparing a deck that you will be sending across with your college application in grade 12, right? And it needs to have it done, step by step. Next slide. All right. Now, the biggest mistake that students do, they feel and they believe, and what they've been doing, they feel that application is just not but a list of achievements. Okay, I was the student council head. Okay, I started this club. I initiated this startup. So what? All right. Everybody else is doing the same thing. It's not a list of achievements that any admission officer at any college is looking for. All right. They really want to see what matters, who you are beneath those list of achievements. So we're going to talk about those in the next few slides. Next. Now, precisely any admission officer looks at any application for 3 to 4 minutes. That's it. So you spend 4 years to develop a stellar profile. You work on your academics, you work on your extracurricular, your supercurriculars, your co-curriculars, and many other things. And how much time an admission officer spend on your application? Just 3 to 5 minutes. That is why we have to be really, really, really mindful about what we do, how we do, and when we do. So these are the 5 questions that your application should be able to answer when you are submit your application. Who you are, okay? Your identity, your values. Now, who you are cannot be your name, right? It has to be who you are as a person. Are you an empathetic person? What values you are bringing to the campus? And how can you say, if you say you are resilient, but I don't see anything in your application that proves that you're resilient, right? So they need to know who you are beyond your name, beyond your achievements. That is identity and value. So what you're bringing to the campus, why you are a value addition. Second question, what are you exceptional at? They're not looking at 20 activities that you've been doing simultaneously over the past couple of years. What they are really looking at, which thing are you a master at, right? If you're coming to my campus, if you're coming to a college, what is that one exceptional thing that you're bringing along and will be a value addition? So let's not talk about breadth, let's talk about depth. You do one thing, you do three things, but do it so well that nobody can defeat you and you are the best. So, what you're exceptional at. What have you actually done? Okay, you say you were the student council leader for last 3 years consecutively. So what? Have you done anything that is like giving back to the community? How many students you have mentored? What was the impact because of your leadership? Have you done any crowdfunding? Have you donated something to the underprivileged, right? Have you mentored your younger students in terms of leadership skills, or you're good at, probably art, you're good at sports? Have you done something to bring that impact on others? So just having a badge, having a title, so what? All right. So they want to see the impact and evidence. You say, okay, I have mentored 100 students under my leadership. Where is the proof? Where is the evidence? So we have to think through like that, because I have 3 minutes as an admission officer. And if I don't see impact along with evidence, right, that means this is all a lie. There are various checkpoints how any data about a student is triangulated. So we need to be very careful when we put anything on our application. Now, why does it matter to you? You said that, you have initiated a business club in your school. It should not look like that you've done it only for your college application. Why business club? Why not finance club? Or why not a sports club? Or why not a community club? All right. So why does it matters to you what you're doing? It should come out. You have to show what you're doing and not tell. That is something they're looking for. And why us and why you here? So you're applying to, for example, if you're applying to Harvard, you're applying to Stanford, right? So why Harvard? Why Stanford? And why they should select you? Now you get my point when I say that you are pitching yourself. All right, that means you need to have a deck that answers all these questions. That means you have done everything perfect with your profile. Next question, Steve. Next slide. Sorry. Right. All right. Now, when we say holistic review, now what is holistic review? Everybody thinks holistic review is you should have academics, you should have a lot of extracurricular on your activities, you should have a lot of supercurriculars. No, it's nothing like that. Please understand when we say holistic review, academics is at the core of any application. They will first look at your transcripts from 9 to 12, how you were as a student academically. Were there any extra courses you've taken? Were there any internships that you have done? Okay. So academics is at the core. Then you top it up with your co-curriculars. It could be MUN, online Coursera courses, your summer programs, your winter programs, all those things. Then you top it up with extracurriculars, which is music, drama, art, sports, and then comes the supercurriculars. When I say supercurriculars, it could be an internship that you've done. Probably you have initiated a startup. Okay, you're running your own business at the age of 17. So those are supercurriculars. So they really want to see, how you have progressed as a person with academics at the core. Academics also include your SATs and your other assessment, right? That proves IELTS, that proves your academic excellence, that you are a good student academically, and you have been you have been in rigorous curriculum, and IBDP itself is a rigorous curriculum. We've already spoken about activities and impact essays. Now, your academics is coming out through your transcripts, right? You will be submitting a separate list of activities with the impact that you have made, right? But who you are again is through your essay that comes out. And how you can write your essay? Once you know yourself. The mistake that students generally do, they sit in grade 12 to re-evaluate, and then they put a reverse gear 3 years down the line, and then they try to remember each and everything. That's the biggest mistake, you do. So if you are right now in grade 11 or grade 10 or grade 12 or grade 9, doesn't matter. The most important thing is you start documenting everything, because trust me, when the time will come for you to write your essay, you will not remember what impact you have made. It could be a simple that, there was a fight between two teammates, and then probably you did something to resolve that conflict and you were able to win the competition. These minute anecdotes, when you include these things in your essays, it does speak volume about you as a person. We talk about then recommendations. Now, recommendations, your parents definitely cannot submit a letter of recommendation. I know they are the best ones who know you through and through, but admission officers, they will not accept anything which is submitted by your family members. Okay, they need recommendation letters from your teachers, from your counselors. It could be your mentor, it could be somebody who was there, who was guiding you in your internship, anything, but somebody who can vouch for your values, your work outside of your family network. Now, context and fit and interest is something that is very important. Your profile says that you've been a tech student. You were into technology throughout in the last 4 years. You have innovated something. You participated in F1 competitions and a lot, and you are then applying to a college that specializes in probably history or architecture, or something which doesn't match, right? Now Harvard is a liberal arts college. Stanford believes in innovation. So it doesn't matter if you get into Harvard, there is a high chance that you will be rejected in Stanford, because Stanford looks for something else, Harvard look for something else. So it's always a nice idea before you shortlist your universities. Please read about the vision, mission of a college and then try and match it up with your application. Okay. Is it aligning? Okay. That is something we really need to see. Now, there is something which is called test optional. Yes, universities do say that we are test optional, but test optional does not mean that they will not look at your test scores if you submit it. So, in layman language, test here refers to the entrance exam, or precisely, I'm sure you all are aware about SATs. So, if a college is saying that they are test optional, that means if you submit your SAT scores, they will look at it. If you do not submit it, of course, they're not denying that you're not eligible to apply. But in past few years, whenever I see data, that every college releases after the application cycle, and when I see the percentage of students who are submitting the test scores, they're somewhere around 60 to 70%, even if it was a test optional college. So imagine 70% students submitting their SAT scores and 30% are not. Unless your profile is exceptionally stellar, okay, you are at a disadvantage there. So we need to be very mindful when we plan our college application profile building journey, in keeping all this in mind. If you don't mind, can I take questions at the end, Vihan? I see your hand raised. I'm sure most of your questions will be answered once we finish everything, right? Great. Okay, next slide. Yes. So please remember, academics earn you the meeting. Okay. Okay, you are top of your class. Okay, you have been probably, your predicted says that you'll be getting 45 on 45 or 42 on 45, right? So you'll get an interview call. All right. But then the questions that they are going to ask you during the interview will not be related mostly to the subjects that you've studied. They will talk about the applications. Okay, you studied, probably economics, okay, or math HL, you had these subjects, okay, in your DP. But then have you done something where you've applied these concepts? All right. So please understand, whenever you pick a subject, okay, you try and understand its application, all right, and there should be an try and get an upward progression. It's okay if your grade 9 scores were not great, but try that, in 10th you improve, and then again 11th it is again improved, and then 12th you predicted, again it shows an upward graph. That's the best strategy that you should take into consideration. Please know, lot of extracurricular or stellar extracurricular also cannot cover the academics flaw. So it has to be perfect. Okay, do not take your academics very lightly. It cannot take a backseat. Next slide, Suti. Find your spine. So academics is sorted. All right. They will look at your grades. They will look at your subjects. They will look at 4 years progression. They will look at your predicted grades. They will look at your SAT score. They will look at any other extra courses, or anything out of the day you have done in term which is supporting your academics. Then the second thing is finding your spike. Now, how to do that, right? Now, colleges generally, they do not prefer a student who has done everything. Okay. Somebody who has been a head boy, somebody who is running two businesses, somebody who is doing sports also, is good in art also, is good in design also. They really want to see somebody who is exceptional at something, right? And not doing multiple things at the same time. Of course, yes. I mean, it is good that you are multitasker, but then what is that one quality that keeps you, unique? that makes you stand out of the cohort. So you have to find that spike. Even if you are a good writer, okay? Probably you have been publishing blogs in last 4 years continuously. You've been publishing articles, or you have been leading the school magazine in last 4 years and have been researching and then, writing articles, publishing it. So it shows that, you are very good at it because you've been doing it for a long period of time. And that is absolutely okay. All right, so please try and find that spike. One thing that you're genuinely exceptional at. My advice, make a list of 5 activities, and then you should spend a lot of your time in top three. Two, you can just see, what your schedule looks like accordingly. Next. Yes, this is what I was talking about. The spike versus the well-rounded student. So when I said find your spike and find something which you're really exceptional at, why? Now, a well-rounded student will look like 5 clubs, none deeply, spread thin across many activities, titles without any impact. Okay, you have just enrolled yourself in these activities so that they look good on your resume and they are forgettable. Okay, I know there was a student had a lot of activities, right? Easily forgettable. Okay, but then Angular and a spike profile will look something like this. One clear strength, a theme an officer can describe in a sentence. So I'll give an example here. I had a student who got into, by the way, UI UC and will be soon traveling there. So when we prepared his profile, one clear strength was that we highlighted photography. All right. And how we showed the impact, he was at the age of 17, he was one of the official photographers at Alpha. you know so if I am writing that, so he just ran after photography, he pursued this, and the startup that he has started, and he's pursuing it brilliantly. It's again related to creative media, so they create content, and it involves again photography. So do you see, he has done one thing, but then through that one thing, we highlighted creativity. We could highlight the business, the entrepreneurship element, because he came up with his own media agency, right? His networking skills. And of course, he was the official photographer, one of the official photographers at IFA. So I could easily remember that. I still remember that. It's been years. Now, depth and real impact, explained, it should be memorable. The student who, at the age of 17, made it to IFA as one of the official photographers. That was the line that I used in my letter of recommendation. So it is remembered. All right. So please find your spike and do not focus on well-rounded. All right. It's good for developing skills, but then when we are looking at a college, try to focus on depth rather than breadth. Yes, next. Next, Stuti, you can move to the next slide.
This really one does some kind of research. It's not living.
Okay. All right. Till then, you figure out, Vihan, you had a question. Please shoot. Okay, we are here. Thank you. So 4 tiers of extracurricular. Now let's talk about, we've talked about academics. Now what are extracurriculars, right? Now you say tier 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you think a student should begin with? Tier 1 or tier 4? I mean, you can just type in the chat box. Anybody? What do you think? Generally, a student begins from tier 1 or tier 4? Okay. Okay. All right. I see 2 responses that we need to begin from tier 4. Anybody else? I see there are at least 13 to 14 students here. Only 2 responses. 4. Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Jasmine, Akshay, and Kireen. But we begin from tier 1, right? See, you cannot immediately get a national award. You cannot immediately become a ranked athlete. Okay. You cannot immediately become a founder. All right. So when we say extracurricular, it is tiered. All right. You start from broad participation. All right. You're a team player. You just, enroll yourself in some club. and then you try to explore it. Then you, when you believe that this is something that you're really passionate about, then you move to tier 2, which is the solid involvement. Okay, you start mentoring younger student, you become the club officer. Okay, you start supporting, and you just get yourself involved in little leadership activities. Then you move to tier 3, which shows a strong leadership. Okay, then you are nominated as president of a competitive club, all state, regional winner, all these things. Okay, comes under strong leadership. And then comes tier 4, rare and national. All right. So it's a journey, right? We definitely aim that, we are there at tier 4. But then you need to understand that, how you need to start. All right. Okay, you don't need a tier 1 trophy. You need to climb your own ladder and show movement upward. Even if you are participating in any club activity in grade 9, absolutely okay. But if there is a progression, if there is a strong interest, and you are able to justify by the time you're in grade 12, it's absolutely okay. All right. Yeah. Yes, we've spoken a lot about this. Depth beats breadth. Two, three activities that you can fully commit to beat 10 you merely joined. Okay, please commit for years. A lot of students do a mistake because suddenly they realize in grade 12, grade 11, they have not done any community service. All right, so they start volunteering at NGOs. All right, and they do it just for 6 months, or they do it just in grade 12. Please know, admission officers have been doing what they're doing from many years, and they receive thousands of application every year. They see through easily. So when you pick any activity, please commit for years and not weeks. And those who are looking at US, especially, and other countries like Singapore and other, they do ask you that for how long you've been doing it. And please note, for US, they even ask you how many hours weekly you have been spending on this activity. And if you say that you have been doing this activity in a week, for example, 20 hours, and other activities again for 10 hours, so then the question comes, when are you studying, right? So you have to be very, very, very mindful. That is why we say pick any two or three activities that you can fully commit, rather than having so many activities, and create evidence. As I said, start preparing a digital portfolio. Create a folder, whatever you've done, the pictures, your reflections, what were the challenges, how you overcome those challenges. you know do it grade wise, month wise, whatsoever suits you. But you need to start creating evidence now, because you will forget when the time will come to write all those things, to assemble everything and then developing into a deck. It is a journey, as I mentioned. A 4-year profile building roadmap. All right. Grade 9 is the exploration stage. As I said, go to, explore subjects, explore your interests, notice, what you return to, where you're struggling. This is your strength. Okay, this subject requires more of my time. Probably I'll spend more time, then I'll become strong at it. All right. Grade 10 is focus. Yes, that's the first milestone in your transcript, your grade 10, your board results. All right. Again, drop the noise. Do not involve yourself if you're in grade 10 in a lot of things, because if your academics is not sorted and it is not strong, whatever you do, it's all useless. Trust me. So please commit to two, three areas if you're in grade 10, because we have to show consistency. So we have to be very mindful what we are doing throughout this. All right. Grade 11 is all about leading. Step into leadership. Okay. If I'm sure every school has a council, okay, apply for student council positions. Doesn't matter whether you are the head, even if you are a sports captain, absolutely okay. But at least the journey of that campaigning and pitching yourself, participating in speech, all those things you can write in your essay, that, that experience was again something that you learned, because you would sit for interview, you would prepare a speech, you would campaign, you're technically pitching yourself to voters, isn't it? Even if you are not able to make it to council, you can talk about that experience when you write your essay. Okay. Any project. Okay. There was a question about passion project. I want to answer that question here. So it doesn't matter that your passion project always has to be aligned with the major that you are looking at college. See, you are 15, you are 16. All right. How can you be so sure that this is something that you would want to, do it for the rest of your life? Why we call it a passion project? Passion is something that you're really passionate about. Okay. And if you're really passionate about, for example, if you're passionate about computer science or if you're passionate about sustainability, it will reflect whatever you do. Okay. Even if you are a tech expert, you're designing something, it would be something that contributes towards sustainability, isn't it? It will automatically, and then ultimately you will go and then study those courses which you're really passionate about. All right. So do not think about aligning your passion project with the college major. If you're really passionate right now, you will do everything what you're passionate about, and accordingly, you will be picking up major later on. And precisely that is the reason every other college these days, they are keeping first year as the foundation year, so that they give you enough exposure before you take that decision of jumping into your major. Except, of course, if you're going to engineering and medicine, I mean, those are very pretty selective things and fields. But other than that, if you are wanting to explore, most of the colleges are giving you that leverage that first year is the foundation. In fact, a lot of engineering colleges also have started this approach. You are coming for bachelor's of engineering, but they give you enough exposure in the first year and then you decide your specialization. That's how it works. Now grade 12 is all about tell. Okay. Grade 12 is not the year that you take up a research project. Please note, grade 12 is the year where you assemble everything. You can do one or two things, just to show continuity that you've been doing. But anything new that you're doing in grade 12, except studying for your board exam, studying for your standardized assessment, and then bringing your applications together, college research, and then, interacting with the representatives and finding the best fit. If you're doing anything else, trust me, it's not going to show any impact. So you can continue what you've been doing from last 2 years. Grade 12 is all about bringing everything together. Next. Leadership is impact, not a title. All right. Please, if you've not been doing it, lift others. All right. Show change. If you participated in something and you realize that when I went into this club, or when I went into this company for internship, the numbers were this. But when I left, I did this and numbers increased to this. That does hold value. You need to have all that information with you documented, because that shows impact. That is data. Now, example here is I grew it from 8 to 60 members and ran the city's first student climate forum. Okay. If the child had written that, by the time I left the club, I grew it. Okay. And I ran the city's first student climate forum. But grew it what? From 8 to 9 members? That doesn't show, right? But when I add data, 8 to 60 members, it shows, oh, it is huge, So that kind of impact we need to look at. Okay. Start something. All right, founding a small initiative, as simple as you probably think that, okay, I need to lead an assembly. Okay, this is an idea that I have and I can do something in my school, probably raise awareness. Do it. Who's stopping you? Okay, because that will also require a lot of planning, a lot of collaboration. Okay, but do it consistently. Just don't do it for the sake of doing. This is what I'm saying. Next. Yes. Now tell your story. Very, very, very important. Your activities are the evidence. Your story is the argument that ties them together into one person worth admitting. Now, what does it mean? When you are telling your story, you have to show and not tell. Okay. While you are writing something, there should be an image that is running, in my subconscious mind. That is very, very, very important. So when you write an essay, just don't write, okay, I'm resilient, I'm a team player. Okay, during this activity, I collaborated well with my team members. I mean, this is very generic, I can just take away your name and I can add anybody else's name, right? But if you put it in a way that, while we were planning for our big event coming together, there was a conflict between my close friend, Mahi, and probably Richa. and then they were arguing over the prices for the ad campaign that we are planning to run. And I suggested this, okay, and my suggestion resolved the conflict, and we were able to launch the campaign, sooner, probably something like that. So you are actually showing, while I was telling you, I'm sure there was an image, okay, two girls are, probably arguing over something, and you're trying to, resolve that conflict. So this is how you have to show. This is how you have to tell your story. Please note, anything you include before grade 9 has no value. So if you say, okay, I did this initiative, I did this in grade 6, grade 7, fine. Again, as I said, there is no consistency. It has to be a long term, and they're only interested in you as a person from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. That is precisely they are looking for, right? So you have to tie everything together. Next. Now find the thread that connects it all. It's very important. Okay. If you want your essay to be, highlighting the value of sustainability, okay, or you want to highlight your design skills, okay, that should be the theme you should be focusing on. Any other example that you're including in your essay, you know it has to be from where it started. It could be a moment, it could be a person, a problem, that suddenly you found interest in, and then you started working on it. Okay, so it has to connect, like what it is your essay is about, where it started, okay, how you pursued it, were there any challenges? If there were any challenges, how did you overcome those challenges? Support it with evidences, what decisions you take, what choices you made, okay, to support that theme. And how do you see this thing when you come to college, the future? Okay, it has to be long term thing, so everything needs to be connected well. Please note, the other day I was meeting a student, and students shared that, miss, I have heard from some student, that if I, convert it into an emotional story, then I will get admission. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. Okay, please do not make your essay a sob story. They have 3 minutes. That's it. This much time they spend on any application. They will not read your sob story. They want to read your growth story. Okay, yes, there was a challenge, but what did you do about it? I hope I'm not bringing a person to my college who is not emotionally independent, right? So your essay should speak a lot about you, connecting your journey, highlighting your values. All right, and not a sob story, but a growth story. Okay. Yes. Next. Show, don't tell. Okay. Now, what is showing and what is telling? Okay. Showing is, let's talk about telling. I'm a hardworking and passionate leader who cares deeply about my community. So, how? I don't see it. But when I want to show this thing, at 6 a.m., I unlocked the food bank, counted 40 crates short, and started calling shops before the line formed. I'm actually showing, right, that I'm hardworking. I'm a passionate leader. It's a specific scene, right? So that creates impact. This is what, gives a credibility to a statement. All right. Yes. Next. Now, recommendations and relationships. You submit your transcripts, you're submitting your list of activities, everything, right? But who vouch for you? It's the counselors, it's the teachers who write letter of recommendation for you. All right. Teachers who know you can be your, recommender. Counselors can be your recommender, but your friends, your family member cannot be your recommender. Please note, this is very, very, very important. Okay. Now choose the right voices. What does it mean? Just take, for example, you are applying for an engineering course, okay, and college has asked for a letter of recommendation. Now, I get it. Probably you do not share a good relationship with your math teacher, right? But do you think submitting an English letter of recommendation would support your application for a STEM course? No, right? So you have to pick your recommender wisely. If it is STEM, it has to be a STEM teacher or a counselor vouching for you, because counselor will also, there are colleges who will only take one LOR, right? And when there is one LOR, then the counselor is supposed to submit the LOR. Now, what counselor does? Counselor takes feedback from your teachers. All right. So you have to be very wise. Please choose the right voice for the right kind of course and college what you're applying to. All right. So my advice, build good relationship with your teachers. All right. And share your story and goals. All right. Probably you are inviting your grade 12 teacher to write a letter about you. But the teacher knows you only for that period of time, right? How about you share your experiences and your journey, probably how your math journey has been or what have you done with your subject teachers as well before, they write letter of recommendation for you. All right. That becomes a quick data point for them that, okay, this is something they can take feedback from. And then including what they have observed in the classroom, they can write a good letter of recommendation. Sometimes giving a context always helps. All right. Next, now fit is very important. Please stop calling about any college. This is my dream college. Okay. There's nothing like dream. There's always like fit. Okay. There are a lot of things that you need to take into consideration when we're talking about a college list. Okay. You need to know about the location of the college. Okay. The programs that they offer, who are the professors. Okay. What is the vision? What is the mission? What is the philosophy? And just not the rankings. Please note rankings are good point to start, but they should not be the only thing that you consider while looking at the colleges. Because probably, okay, ranking shows that this college, is at world number one rank. But the location is such where I don't have a lot of Asian people or a lot of English speaking people. Okay. And I don't know the language. How will you survive for 4 years? That's not the best fit for you. Doesn't matter whether this college is the top in its list. All right. Location matters. The college percentage matter. The climate matters. The tuition matters. Scholarship matters. Professors matters. And how is there any family member nearby? What if something goes wrong? You fall sick. Okay, is there anybody who can cater to you? At that time, your parents would take some time to come to you, right? So you have to understand, okay, are you comfortable in a class of 100 students or you want a smaller batch size? This is the research that you need to do and finding your best fit. Okay. Look at the return on investment. Look at where are the alumni placed. Connect with those alumni on LinkedIn. Okay. That is the kind of research you should do. Okay. Do your homework. Connect to your spike. Okay. Engage genuinely. There are a lot of webinars that universities keep hosting. All right. Please sign up for those. Okay. There are virtual tours that they give. There are students who speak during those webinars. You can ask them directly. Okay, how's the accommodation looks like? Okay, how's the hostel life? Okay, what's the room size? How many students are sharing the room? Okay, and is the accommodation provided only for first year or for all 4 years? Please ask those questions. These are very important questions because you're going there for life. Okay, and please be honest about it. Every other child I meet, the first five colleges are Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Duke, okay, Penn. But I always ask them, okay, you know, fine, these are top colleges. But do you even know why they're called Ivy? Why they're called Ivy Leagues? Nobody knows the answer. Okay. So your homework should be such that you have answer to every question. All right. Let's talk about the best fit and not the big names is what I'm saying. Yes, if your profile speaks volume and it's the best fit Harvard, please be my guest. I will help you to apply to Harvard and we will make it too. But then you have to see, you have to be realistic analyzing the fit. All right. Now there's a difference between a great school and the school for me. All right. Next. As I said, the profile is one pitch deck. Okay. The hook, who you are in one line, If your application, if you're able to write one line about you that clearly defines your whole application, your application is perfect. Okay. It should answer what you care about and why. It should talk about your spike, what you're great at. It should have evidence, your leadership, results, impact. Okay, your character, which is told by others. Now, who is your team here? Your teachers who is writing letter, your counselors, right, who are writing letters for you. They are your team, okay? And the ask. This is the question that you have to ask yourself, why this school is the right fit. Okay? If all the parameters ticks well, this is the best fit. Okay? Now, coherence is what makes a profile unforgettable. Everything comes together as a single pitch deck. Yes, Tubi. Next. This is very important. Please avoid these mistakes. Stop collecting. Please start committing. Okay. Do not chase prestige over passion. Okay. Starting in grade 12. Sorry, as I said, grade 12, you cannot start something new. You can just continue what you have been doing in last 3 years and assemble everything and shape it into a beautiful pitch deck. Okay, letting parents drive it. Yes, your parents should be your partner, but if something feels off to you, you feel this course is not the right fit for me, medicine is not for me, engineering is not for me, math is not for me. Okay, this college is not for me. I will not be comfortable in a class of 100 students. I will not be comfortable in a country where there are less English speaking people. I will not be comfortable in a location where, the temperature is always, 0 degrees or less than that. So please voice it out because it's your application. You will be staying there for 4 years. Okay. Please don't tell, start showing. Okay. Do not copy someone else's path. Every individual's journey is unique and different. If somebody else is doing an internship, is doing, RSI, MIT course, is doing this, is doing that, stop comparing your journey to that person. Okay. Your journey is different. You do you, they will do them. That is something that we need to keep into mind. Yes, Priti, we can go ahead. And now what you can do for next 90 days. Okay. Days 1 to 30 reflect. As I said, you have to now start reflecting what you've done in the past 3 years. If you're in grade 9, reflect what you've done so far, okay, and where you want to move ahead, what subjects to take, what subject combination to take, okay, which country to look at, which course, which college, what are the new age career options, where your school alumni are going. All right, so do that research in first month. All right. Second, then commit. After reflection, you have everything. Now you know where you're struggling and what you can do. Narrow down and then do it consistently. All right. When you do it consistently, you feel that you're really passionate about, then start building on that and be honest. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you are in grade 9, 10, 11, or 12, but this is something that you can do. I understand with grade 12, it could be something which is very tight, so you have to improvise here. We're already in August, and if you're looking at US, early deadlines, yes, November, so we don't have much time. But then, just try to speed up the process. I would say just take precisely a month to bring everything together and start working on your college applications. This is only for grade 12s. But other than that, you can just follow this. Yes. Next. This I've already covered. List everything you do, name a possible theme, and audit your grades. Yes, very important. Please focus on academics. It has to be an upward trajectory. Next. 31 to 60 commit. How you can commit? Out of those n number of activities, all right, please commit to two. Launch the project. Okay, track a number that you can grow. Build a relationship with one key teacher because the teacher is going to be the one who is going to write letter of recommendation for you. All right. And it LOR has to be coming from a teacher for that subject where you're heading to. Okay. As I said, if you're not looking at literature or a research kind of career, then please do not ask your English teacher for LOR. Please ask a STEM teacher for LOR. Similarly, if you're looking for a management course, you can ask for math or economics teacher to write letter of recommendation for you in that case. All right. Draft your story in a paragraph, refine it monthly. You keep building it, okay? Because I'm sure every passing week, every passing month, there's a new experience that you are adding on to. So prepare a document and start documenting everything. Yes. Next. Yes. So pitch, you are not listing achievements, very important. Don't be well-rounded. Build one clear spike. Please commit to two, three things and go deep. Show, don't tell, make it coherent. I'm repeating this again and again because these are the things that we forget when we see other students, when we see other, parents doing all these things. We completely forget everything and then we start comparing, and that is the biggest mistake we do. Yes. Okay, I think we are done. Yes. So the best profile isn't the most impressive, it's the most you. So the one application which is very honest and it reflects who you are as a person, I think that's the best application. And that is the only time admission officer is going to spend on your pitch deck. That's it. Any questions? Thank you so much. I hope it was helpful. So, any question, you can just unmute and ask. Happy to answer. Okay, I see certain questions here. Passion projects aligned to college majors. I've already answered that. I've already covered apart from academics for profile building. Okay, yes, to more to learn more about the core IB components. Okay, so IB core has TOK, there is CAS, and there is extended essay, and then there are six subjects that a student is expected to take. I'm talking about IB full diploma, 3SL and 3HL. That's the minimum requirement for a full diploma. If you are planning to go for CP, IBCP, please do check with the colleges that you are applying to. There are many colleges who do not accept IBCP. They want a full regular diploma, which is IBDP. So you need to check that. All right. Now, what is the appropriate grade to start the profile? I would just say start now. I mean, you should not wait. Yes, if you are in grade 7 and 8, yes, there's still time, but then start thinking about what next. I'm a DP1 student. I want to get to know how I can score well as build my profile. I've spoken. How I can score is something, I always tell all my students, have your whole school calendar in front of you, and then create a separate timetable for you. When do you want to study, which colleges you're looking at, okay, what should be the timeline. Now you are a DP1 student, so if you are aiming for countries and colleges that requires SAT, and it will support SAT and IELTS, I would suggest now is the year. Take this SAT and IELTS in grade 11 itself, in DP1 itself, towards the end of DP1, because the scores are valid. It will reduce certain load when you are in grade 12. Okay, next. I have already talked about. Okay, I think done. Any other question? Happy to answer, but I've answered, I think, all which were there in the chat box. Yes, Vihan, go ahead. I see your hand raised.
Yes, ma'am. I have two questions.
Yes, please.
So firstly, you know how you talked about SAT and the like how it has a certain advantage
Hmm.
if you give the SAT. So does that also apply for non-US colleges?
Yes, absolutely. See, as SATs these days, it's just not US that is accepting, okay? I know colleges like, Japan, Singapore, they ask for standardized assessment, right? And
Mhm.
in fact, Australia, they don't say that SAT is mandatory. But then, if you're really looking at scholarship, and if you have a good SAT score, okay, 1500 plus or 1550, okay, then you do have a strong chance of scholarship and acceptance. All right. So
Okay.
this is something I advise all my students that, okay, if even if SAT, and do you mind sharing which country you are currently studying in?
Yes, ma'am. Uh,
Yeah.
ma'am, so I'm in 11th right now, but I target UK and Singapore.
So Singapore, yes, of course. For UK, there are separate tests. Like if you're looking at economics course and at LSE, you might have to write TMUA, okay? And if you're
Yes.
looking at engineering from colleges like Imperial and Cambridge and all, so you will have to write ESAT. For UK, SAT, they will not look at. They have their own entrance exam. So please do check
Yes.
with the colleges that you're applying. But for Singapore, yes, definitely, if you add this, if you submit this, it will support your academic excellence. But this will not cover your academic gap, is what I'm
Yes.
saying. Yeah,
Ma'am, just to point out one thing,
yeah.
in the application form for NUS, which is the
Hmm.
National University of Singapore,
Yes, yes.
there is no actual like place to submit your SAT scores itself.
So what happens when you upload the documents, right? At the
Yes.
end, once you make the payment, and there is a page opens where you have to upload all your transcripts and everything, right? There is this option that comes. I think it's other documents or standardized assessment, something like that. There you can upload the PDF. So it will come to you after you make the payment.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Uh, and ma'am, one more question, sorry.
Yes.
So for MYP, like
Mm.
the e-assessment, what
Mm.
is like a good score, which is like that, like X score, and then above is just like appreciated. Is there any like
You
score like that?
you are looking at Singapore, anyways.
Yeah.
So I will say perfect score. Go as high as possible.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
See, I'll tell you, Singapore is super competitive, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And they don't say it. In fact, nobody says it, but it's just not Singapore. I'm just telling overall. For all international students, okay, they don't take more than 15 to 20% of the total batch size. Okay. So imagine 15 to 20%, that is across the globe, right? And so, and when it's NUS is super competitive. Uh, what are your
Yes, ma'am.
IMYP results? I mean, they're out already, right?
Yes, ma'am. They came out.
I hope they were good.
Yeah, they were quite good. Yeah.
Good, good. And what are you planning to take DP only?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes. Any other question? Happy to take.
Hi, I have a question regarding the economics program at UK.
Yeah.
I heard like for those top universities that the students have to take a test, a math
Yes.
test.
Yes.
How
Yes.
how do I mean how should students
So
prepare for that?
I'm just writing in the chat box the name of the organization that facilitates this test, UAT UK. You can go to UAT UK's website.
Yeah,
All right. So it talks about the tests, TMUA, ESAT, and TARA.
yeah,
All right. And the universities that are asking. So if it is LSE, LSE is definitely asking for TMUA for an economics course.
yeah,
But it might not ask for this exam for a management course. So it also depends on the course.
yeah. So all the information are there, and we can just go there
Yes.
and get information and prepare for it. We don't need to have a tutor or anything.
No, see, so when I had a conversation with experts, when UAT UK people hosted a webinar, and then I asked them, and they clearly said, the concepts that they check, they are grade 10 concepts, right? It's just what matters is speed and accuracy, right?
Okay.
And on their portal, there are a lot of mock tests, right? So I think that should be good to go.
Okay. For
Yes.
Oxford, they don't have this kind of test, but they have a logic test. And
Yes.
how should students prepare for it?
Again, if you go to the test's website, they will have, sample papers and the mock papers. So they do not like, unlike SAT,
Yeah,
where they, explicitly says, okay, you can prepare. College Board clearly identifies, okay, you can log into Khan Academy and we have a peer tutor program and other things, right? So with these exams, they don't really say anything, but what they say is they're checking the concepts till grade 10. Okay,
okay.
so any Olympiad, any mock test, you can take and practice. This is what they say.
I see. But if it's just grade 10 level, then what's the point of having those tests?
See, the thing is, basically they want to check the basic mathematics and the basic logical reasoning, like how much student is prepared when they are coming to college. And there in those tests, speed and accuracy matters. So probably a student is very good with concepts, right? But whatever happens in those 1 hour, whether you are able to attempt. So for example, if there are 200 questions, okay, a student is expected to attempt. Now you have 60 minutes and 200 questions, right?
Mhm.
So it's the speed and accuracy they're really checking at. And with this, they want to check if the student is the best fit for my college, because the college level coursework is that rigorous.
Okay.
Yeah.